All right, hey guys, Miss G again here with another Jamboard session of triangles. So we're going to move on to congruence. This video should be pretty much kind of repetitive to what I did last week. I'm not going to do too much of anything new other than just reviewing the triangle congruence theorems, as well as just taking a look at some triangles and seeing which theorem we're going to use to prove triangles are congruent. So our theorems that we used were side, side, side. We also have side, angle, side. We have angle, side, angle. We have angle, angle, side. Now these four are definitely used to prove similarity, and if it proves if they prove congruence, which is this symbol, forgot to draw that, sorry. If it proves congruence, they definitely prove similarity. So these can go either way. The other ones that kind of stuck out, we had hypotenuse leg. Hypotenuse leg is when you have your two right triangles. Sorry, this is kind of messy. And you have, one leg and one hypotenuse. That's terrible drawing. But the leg and the hypotenuse are congruent. I'm not going to show you any examples of that today. It's not, we don't use it that much. Usually you can use one of these four that are showing right here to prove it. The other one is angle, angle, but it proves similarity only. So you can't use that for congruence. In order for you to use angle, angle, there has to be at least one side in there. So it's either, when you have angle, angle, it's either going to be the side is in between them or the side is not. Doesn't matter. As long as you have one side that's common when you have angle, angle, then it's going to be congruent triangles. So just a quick review. Let's do a different color. So we saw this on the similarity one, but side, side, side is going to be where you have the three sides of the triangle matching up with the three sides of another triangle. Side, angle, side is going to be two sides next to each other, which is always happening in a triangle. It's three-sided. Two sides, and then that's going to be looking ugly. The side in between those two, or the angle in between those two sides are congruent. Angle, side, angle is going to be the angles that are next to each other, congruent, and then the side in between those two angles. And then angle, angle, side is again two angles next to each other, which they always will be, and then any side that is not in between those two angles. So honestly, it's not too important that you know the exact condition until you get to writing proofs. But as long as you see two angles and another side that is equal, then those two triangles have to be congruent. All right, let's move on. Of course, won't let me do it. Why wouldn't it? Go to the next page. There we go. All right, so here we have our two triangles. Now these two triangles are put next to each other. Almost looks like one giant triangle, but really has four sides. And we know from a couple weeks ago that that is a quadrilateral. But as you can see, we have, we have these angles, or these sides are congruent. We have these sides are congruent. And then I'm sure someone is shouting right now that they notice that this middle line, if we pull this apart, that's how we create the two triangles, but this has to be congruent. So therefore, we have three congruent sides. So these, So these two triangles are congruent by side, side, side. We have three sides that are telling us they match up to be the exact same. Super easy. Not forcing you to write the statement on this one. Just recognizing that they're congruent. All right, next we have this one. Now, you should notice that this angle and this angle are congruent. So yay, we have an angle. Then we have this side and this side are congruent. So we have a side but there's no other information, right? We can't force any other side to be congruent. We can't say that another angle is congruent because we need at least 2 angles so we can figure out the third one. So this one is our old pal, not enough information. We're not going to say that they aren't congruent. We just don't have enough information to prove that they are. We also don't have enough information to prove that they are similar. The only 2-letter one that we have is angle, angle, and we have an A and an S. So these, not enough information. Moving on. Kind of have a similar situation here as we did to the last one. So again, we see we have these 2 angles are congruent by the single little quarter circle there. So we have an angle. All right, we have a congruent side because of the single tick mark, but it looks like we don't have any other information telling us that, we have other angles congruent or we have other sides congruent. But, Old Faithful, we have intersecting lines. So when we have intersecting lines, we know we have vertical angles. So we have another pair of congruent angles. And luckily I wrote this in order, so we know that angle side angle does prove congruency. So therefore, these 2 triangles are congruent by angle side angle. They have 2 angles, and the side in between those 2 angles are indeed congruent. It's a good one. All right, last one here. Okay. So you want to make sure that on all of these, you double check that the actual congruent angles or sides are in the same spot. Now, hopefully you remember this one. I believe I did this one on the board for all the classes. I had you guys come up to the board and say whether or not they were angle, side, side, all that stuff. Okay, so we see that double tick mark means we have a side. We have another single tick mark, which means another side. Now, we do have, let me do a different color here. We do have this angle and this angle being congruent. But what do you notice about the location of where each of those angles are? Did you get it? Hopefully you did. I think you did. You should notice that with this one, it's in between. So this would show angle, side, angle just for this triangle, right? This could possibly match up to another triangle using angle, side, angle. But this one doesn't. This one shows our cuss word, right? I'm going to write it the other way so parents don't get mad at me. We don't have side, angle, or if you turn it around. We don't, geometry was nice, no cuss words. So that doesn't work. Since these angles aren't in the same spot, this one's not congruent. Okay, we don't have anything that's going to work. So sometimes I'll throw these in there to confuse you. Don't get caught. Hopefully, with this being the second, third time, even probably 4th time that you've seen this, you won't get caught by this one. Hopefully you did well on this congruency one. Make sure you do the assignment. Let me know if you have any questions at all. But as always, I want you to remember what the difference between similarity and congruence is. I've been asking you forever now. Whoa, it's a moth. Sorry, squirrel. So the similarity means same shape, different size. So all angles are congruent, sides are proportional, and congruence means everything is the same. Same shape, same size, all angles the same, all sides are the same. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next time.